probably the presentation I'm going to show you and the project is maybe very different from the one you've seen before. It's a project in which we try to play with maybe a kind of theatrical aspect of our discipline, trying to develop a story, really to base this idea of the wood construction within a narrative that I'm going to try to explain now. There were a couple of ideas we decided to play with. First, to try to relate architecture and biology from the brief of the Biennale. We try to understand what could be these relationships. It's not something that we are extremely familiar with in the office, so putting these on the table, we started to think about the idea of a cycle. The fact that a building today, when you construct, you immediately start to think about how the building you put up is going to be taken down. The fact that things do have a life, that buildings do age. This question of aging is something that we were interested in. Any building age, any building decays in a way, whether it's on a micro level or on a larger level. And we thought maybe a way to communicate this relationship between architecture and biology is to make actually a building that decays during the life of the Biennale. We wanted to engage. We wanted to try to engage strongly with the visitors, with the citizens of the city. So we thought maybe we can do a structure which is actually rather scaffolding, but to try to get children of Tallinn to participate into the project. So the project would have started 2 or 3 weeks ago when primary schools begin, and every primary school in Tallinn would have started with the reception of a kit that would enable children during the first few days of class to make bioplastic. So bioplastic, as we learned during the process, is a material that is relatively easy to make. It's something that you can do at home with some actually non-toxic material, natural material. It's almost like cooking. You have a kind of simple recipe, which is on the slide that is coming. So this is something we did in the office as a kind of test. So every child of Tallinn would make a piece of bioplastic, which is one of the building components that composes the facade of the intervention that I'm going to show you in a moment. So we wanted to bring the visitor in this way and to make him part of the building process of the structure. So every child in the city would have made in the first few days of school one of these little cells, let it dry at school, and then afterwards be able to visit the Biennale with that piece in his pocket or in a little bag and come and visit the structure to be able to participate in its construction. Now, the idea of that is a little bit of this question of decay, the question of a building skin. We call in architecture a facade a skin. In biology, a skin is the epiderm is something that is in constant evolution. It's something that is alive. It's something that dies. It's something that regenerates. And we wanted also this project to do that. So, thinking about wood, so wood was somehow was one of the central theme. We wanted to also think about wood in a general way, so understand about wood as a construction material, but we also noticed that we could integrate it within the bioplastic. So we started to work with leaves, we started to work with pine needles, grinding them to try to get the chlorophyll to color the plastic, but also engaging with the forest of Estonia, which is something that was also central in our conversations in the office. We noticed that actually bioplastic could contain seeds of different species from the Estonian fauna. And actually bioplastic, once it starts to decay and when it touches the ground, it forms a very good substrate. So we started to think that our building little by little could start to drip, reach the floor with these seeds contained within the building components, and little by little we could try to recreate a sort of strange artificial nature on the site. So this is part of the narrative. So eventually, as architects, we just wanted to put together scaffolding with very simple means, standard timber profiles, bolted together in a fairly straightforward structure that you can see here. So very much a skeleton or scaffolding, you can call it both ways, but that would be basically empty on the day of the opening of the Biennale, so one of these days. So this would be the first day, and then the first moment of starting the construction during the opening of the Biennale would take place. So here you have a child that is hanging a first panel, as you can see here also on the section. So we reversed a little bit the orientation of the project, creating a skin towards the inside of the structure and the services, if you're on the staircase, located on the periphery, on the outside. And here you have some images of mock-ups that we did in the office, testing the transparency of the material, testing the integration of grinded pine needles to start to give it the effect of a light filter. The circulation of the structure was functioning as you see here. So you would walk into this ramp or staircase going up. And it would take you around. You would find a spot where you would hang your bioplastic cell. And once you've done when you finish somehow collaborating with the act of the construction, you would continue to walk. And before exiting, you would actually have to walk into that space where you would be surrounded by all these bioplastic cells and discover a kind of architectural effect. We wanted to really create an enclosed space. In which you would be totally somehow cut up from the context, and have this view of this filter that somehow frames the sky. So we worked with light. We worked with the daylight, understanding the path of the sun that is many moments of the year very low, and somehow calibrated the curvature so that most of the time when you would be inside that space, you would get a very strong effect of the direct sunlight coming through the filter. So, well, here the technical drawings. You can see the section and the plan that we did. And then we constructed this model in order to test both how this project would be perceived from the outside. Here you have another elevation, and then we were able to take a couple of shots of what the experience, going around, collaborating in the construction, and then eventually experiencing this space in the bottom right. So. The question of decay, the act of decay, these cells would fall onto the ground, little by little start to create a very dense ground, a very fertile ground of seeds, which would lead to a kind of a self-competing area of growing plants, which within probably 2 months, 3 months would start to grow, and we would have on this patch of grass in front of the museum a little Estonian forest growing. So this is the last moment somehow of the process, the moment where after 6 months or after 8 months we take the structure away, and what remains is these plants that are growing into the ground. The reason why it's a donut shape is that because this is just a basic projection of the skin that we have built, so everything has fallen to the ground, and then this little forest grows. So this would be our image of the project. This is a photograph of an Estonian forest, and this would be in 6 months, let's say, the new entrance to the Tallinn Museum of Architecture. Thank you.